But I'll tell you what, man.
Yep.
It's really, really funny. When I did this, they call it heat training, hostile environment action or something. I don't know what it's called. But it's called like a heat course.
Okay.
And some of the people that were there, like one was like a weather guy there. Now, there's a reason why a weather guy will be at a hostile environment training course. Because hurricanes. It wasn't just about
Yeah, that makes sense.
Getting kidnapped.
Because they have to go stand on the beach while it's behind them.
And
They're like, I'm here reporting.
it was really, it's like the lowest tier.
Yeah.
And I swear this guy was so arrogant.
Yeah. Oh, the news reporter?
He's a weather guy.
That's not surprising, actually.
And I'm sitting there like,
Weird.
listening to this guy talk, and he's like, there's a bunch of women. We're like sitting at a table. It was like lunch.
He's so tough, I bet.
And he's like, listen, here's what you got to do. Like when you're dealing with this stuff. And I'm just like, tell me, Weatherman, tell me more about how you respond to when the terrorists are kidnapping you.
Willy Wonka.
And then I was like, I shook my head and I was just like, I started talking about what actually happens. And he's like, you think you know how this stuff goes on? And I was like, dude, first of all, everybody has a different reaction. You don't know. You've never been in these situations. And you have? I was like, yes.
I wish
yes,
I was
actually,
a fly on the wall.
I have.
Right, me too.
I swear. There was a really funny thing that happened with this training. They put us in this scenario where we are driving in SUVs to go meet with, like a terror leader or something. It was all fictional.
Okay.
And then the cars get stopped at a fake checkpoint, and the guys have a bunch of random weapons, and they start yelling. And then our driver, he's part of the training, he's supposed to be a fixer. It's the local who tells you. He says,
Yeah, okay.
Oh, it's a government checkpoint. They want everyone to get out of the vehicles. And so, okay, we all get out. They make us all lay on our stomachs. All of the women get brought to a shed where we then hear all the women screaming. And the guys with the guns are all laughing, saying like there are women now and stuff like that. And then they start going around saying, give us all your valuables. And so then they went up and the guy was like, give me your wallet. And I said, here you go. And they start to walk away. And I was like, oh, sir, you forgot my watch. And he was like, oh yeah, I did forget your watch. And he takes my watch. And the funny thing about it was the watch was a GPS tracker. So after it was over, we went back to the main area. And someone asked, so the trainer guy was like, sometimes these things happen. You'll get stopped. You'll notice that all the guys had different weapons, which means they're likely not government because they don't have standard issue. These are things you got to pay attention to. But if you're being stopped by a group of armed individuals, there's not much you can do. And someone said, what about the women who are kidnapped and clearly being abused? And he just goes, they're gone. Sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. And afterwards, one of the guys was there. And I said, I'm just going to let you go. You guys were wrong about that. And he was like, oh, yeah, what do you mean? And I said, well, remember when I said my watch? He's like, yeah. I'm like, that watch is a GPS tracker. As soon as you let us go, I called the State Department, told them how to find it. And he went, really? And I was like, this was back when smartwatches weren't a thing.
Oh, okay.
So it was a 4G watch that looked like a regular watch.
Got him.
Yeah, nice. Boom. And so I told him, I was like, listen, man, I was like, in the stuff that I've done with my buddies who actually work in like InfoSec and actual OPSEC stuff, we've gone through contingencies for how to deal with legit top tier full tech warfare to the best of our civilian understanding. One of the things was like, they actually said to charge your GPS and bring it with you. And I was like, no. Marie Colvin was a conflict journalist. And what we understand is that the Assad regime was tracking her sat phone, found out where she was, and then started shelling the building.
Oh, geez.
So you don't want to have an active GPS signal they can track and figure out where you are.
Right.
A satellite link.
Okay.
So what we did was, when my buddy went, we gave him a two-way satellite communicator to make sure he had one. You know why? You leave it off, and then once you're compromised, you turn it on and throw it down a hill and run the other direction. You buy yourself some time. They know where you are already. Then they'll chase after the dummy signal.
Oh, okay.
So this is the kind of stuff they don't teach you, but, I'm interested. Anyway, I digress. That was a fun story. I love that.
I love
That's
it.
a great story. I
Someone
haven't
just
heard
went, Tim Pool's the Jason Bourne on budget.
Yeah.
On budget.
Yes.
I'm just
That was a good comment.
not even. And I would never consider myself to be an expert. Or within reason, but what I would always tell people, like when this guy's mouthing off about how he's like, here's what you got to do, and I'm like, listen, anybody who tells you they can guarantee you security and safety is lying to you.
Yeah.
Anybody who's going to tell you here's definitively what you do is lying to you. And I said, we were talking specifically about what to do in the event of a kidnapping. And I said, that we did this mock scenario where we're going to interview. It's all basically the same thing. You're going to go interview, this leader. We pull up to the building, And I'm on a hair trigger already because I know the game. And so they say, okay, everybody get out of the cars. We're going inside. And then the guy in front of me was he just out of the Marines. So he was getting a job in security for like security contractor. This guy's a Marine.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we hear someone yell and we pop our doors and just both run full speed, slightly zigzagging down through dead ground.
Nice.
We knew what we were doing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we get like 100 yards out. We duck behind some trees and we hear, "You guys are dead. You're dead. Come back." And we looked at each other and started laughing. No, we're not.
Like,
we got out.
Literally not dead.
And so we walked back, and one of the training guys was like, "You guys died." And we were laughing. We're like, "Okay, sure." Like, no, we hit dead ground. Like, so dead ground is when the people you can't shoot.
Right.
So like a hillside.
Okay.
Once you clear a certain amount of space, someone standing up on the hill can't shoot through the hill.
Right.
They have to
Right,
run to
yeah.
the edge and then try and shoot down. So we went straight for dead ground, and then we were gone. But they told us to come back, and he goes, "Well, if you want to do the training exercise, we'll pretend like you're not dead." And we're like, "All right, fine, whatever." And so then they literally told us, "Do whatever you can to do whatever you want to do. You're being kidnapped. Do whatever you want. Get out of it. Figure it out." And I'm like, "You got it, buddy." And so I passed out and fake threw up. And they started freaking out and canceled the event. They were like, "All right, everybody stopped." Like, buddy, are you all right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm totally fine." And they were like,
do whatever you want.
"What?" And I was like, "I was faking being sick." And they went, "Oh, why?" And I was like, "To make it a burden on the kidnappers to decide whether to take me or leave me." And
Yeah.
they were like, "Oh, okay, stand back up, get back in line." And I'm like,
So you fooled them twice.
Yeah.
So the first time they're like, "Man,
I shouldn't have been there."
We shouldn't have we could have like told them to do whatever they want, and that before they did what they did, and then we would have told them they were dead."
Right.
So, but this
So you fooled them twice.
yeah.
This is what precipitated the guy who's talking about, him knowing what he was doing.
Oh,
and then I
okay.
was explaining why I ran in the first place.
Okay.
And why I feigned being sick. And I said, I can't tell you this would work because you don't necessarily know the mentality of the people who are trying to kidnap you.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I can tell you my logic. The first is, if they're going to kidnap you, now as an American, you're actually likely to get rescued. Americans don't. The American government does not negotiate, and they do not pay ransoms. So it's actually, in many circumstances, kidnappers will avoid Americans at all costs.
Interesting.
A lot of these poor guys in these countries, when they kidnap somebody, they're thinking about, can we get cash quick? What happens
cannot.
if you kidnap someone who's Spanish or German? Those governments pay out right away. Boom.
right.
Really? Is that,
Oh, yeah.
Is that true?
Yep. And because of this, they're sought after.
Interesting.
If you're an American, do you know what Americans deliver when you kidnap an American?
Payloads.
A helicopter commando raid kicking your door in
Yeah.
and killing you and your family. So it's not all the time,
Jeez.
but the American government's dead serious about
Yeah.
we're not going to pay and we're going to F you up.
Yeah.
So that's the goal. The goal is to deter. And so that's actually what they advise. They advise to capitulate, do whatever your captors want, because in all likelihood, the American government's going to come in guns a-blazing.
Just be like, just tell them you're American.
But
I'm American.
but there's also,
Next.
Yeah.
however,
yeah.
at this time, we're talking about the expansion of some certain factions in the Middle East that glorify the execution of journalists on purpose.
Yeah, that's true.
And so, what I was basically saying to people is like, listen, live on your feet, die on your knees. I can run, and if these guys are using long guns, they can be extremely accurate with low training. And hey, man, maybe they'll waste the bullet on you. Maybe they'll say it's not worth it. We've already got 15 other people. Let them go. Then when they brought me back and I pretended being sick, people were like, yeah, but then they'll just kill you. I'm like, why?
Maybe.
What do you think they're thinking? Are they thinking this person's having a panic attack? They're sick. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to get sick either.
Or carry them.
I don't want to carry them. I don't want to get sick. I don't want to deal with it. Maybe they'll kill you. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll kill you regardless.
Not everyone has a Lydia to carry your burdens.
That's right.
Right.
That's what I'm for.
So I said, listen, no one's going to tell you. In fact, the people training specifically said, you can't predict these things, but we can maximize your opportunity by preparing you to the best of our abilities. And so I said, my instinct would always be run. Run. Don't give in. Don't bow. If they catch you, they catch you, but run. And if you have to passively resist, do so in the proper way. You don't antagonize them. You just become a burden that they don't want to deal with.
Yeah.
It's not perfect. Many people who have survived have just done whatever they're told and just waited out for a couple of years. That may work, and that's what a lot of people have done. It's hard to know. We've also seen people get their heads chopped off. So you've got to decide based on the current circumstances. If it was a 1% chance they're going to film you being lit on fire.
1% chance.
1% chance. That's the saying. It's like there's a 1% chance something can happen. Would you take the odds? So for me, I'm kind of like, I'd rather run. I'd rather run than put a bullet in my back. At least I know I tried. I'm not going to bend the knee to anybody. And if they catch me, you know what? Then I lost. But when they made me feign being sick, I'm like, at least at this point, I can be annoying passively. You don't want the person to get mad at you thinking you're doing it on purpose. But it's reasonable to think that if someone got kidnapped, they'd be panicking, shaking, and getting sick. And then you'd be like, I don't want to deal with this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What are they going to... Now, if they're trying to get a ransom from you or it might be worth the vomit. They might be like, I'm going for $1 million, dude. You can barf all you want. I'll take you. But at least tried something, I guess. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. If you want to catch the full show, tune in to this channel, subscribe, hit the like button, or check us out on iTunes and Spotify, and we will soon have this podcast up for free on all podcast platforms. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next episode.